Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here this morning. We're here this morning to announce that the Office of the Attorney General is commencing a formal investigation into Stone Academy under the Connecticut Unfair Trade Practices Act. We're working in conjunction with the Department of Consumer Protection, the Office of Higher Education, the Department of Public Health, and the U.S. Department of Education. As you know, Stone Academy abruptly closed on February 15th, and they left hundreds of students hanging from their campuses in East Hartford, Waterbury, and West Haven. Since then, we've received over 100 complaints from students and faculty. It's my understanding today that this affects potentially upwards of 900 students and their families. We just sent a civil investigative demand, otherwise known as a subpoena, to Stone Academy, demanding detailed information and records regarding the education provided or not provided to the students at Stone Academy, and also detailed information about tuition collected from each student, the school's marketing practices, faculty qualifications, revenue, accreditation materials, and all records about complaints received about the school. The demand also seeks information regarding how and when the school decided to close and how that decision was communicated to students. It's really important also that we get detailed information about how the school intends to make this right to the students. Because they have to make this right. That's why we're here today. And how they intend to reimburse students for tuition and costs, how they intend to assist students in continuing their education and completing their degrees, and how it intends to inform students of their rights and options following the school closure. This isn't just hard for the students, this is a tragedy for hundreds, if not thousands, of Connecticut students and families and their communities. I think we have a bunch of students here. And I think you can see most of the folks here probably have jobs already and have been just trying to make it work, make it happen for their families, for their kids. I presume some of you are doing it on your own as single parents, right? Women of color, who are just trying to do better for themselves and their families. And if you think about a group that we need more than ever, we need nurses. As we try to fight our way out of this pandemic, we're not there yet, as we all know, but we need nurses more than ever, and generally there's a shortage of nurses, but now more than ever, we need qualified nurses out there providing health care to our families across the state. Stone Academy's pass rate of the professional exam that nurses have to take was unacceptably low. Some of the faculty were not legally qualified to teach. Students wasted hour upon hour, many hundreds of hours on clinical training they are now just learning may have been invalid. And so the school was just not meeting its obligation to prepare these students to be nurses, and it simply failed them. So let me just be clear. As your Attorney General, speaking for the state of Connecticut, we are going to throw everything we have at them. We are going to get to the bottom of this. And if we find any violations of the law, civil or criminal, wrongdoers are going to face the most severe consequences, and we will make sure of that. I want to note again that we've been working very closely with the Office of Higher Education, the Department of Public Health, U.S. Department of Education to assist students in obtaining transcripts, tuition refunds, loan discharges, adjustments to veterans benefits, and helping to place students in programs so that they can finish their coursework and get their degrees. I want to thank the legislators who are here today, and we will hear from the chairs and ranking members of the Higher Ed Committee in a few moments. But in addition, we have Representative Farrar, Representative Araceno, Representative Turco, and then we're going to hear from the chairs, Representative Haddad, Senator Slapp, and Representative Haynes. But before that, let me invite the Director of the Office of Higher Education, Tim Larson, to provide some remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Attorney General Tong. We really appreciate your effort. We are right behind every single one of these students that has been affected by this. Going back to July, August of last year, we had heard student complaints and we rallied behind them. Part of the Stone Academy renewal application, we brought in extra help, Helen Smith from the Department of Public Health, to really investigate and drive through what has gone on at Stone. We developed a list of 8 violations. We scheduled in early January a compliance conference that outlined every single one of these violations. Part of this process is to allow Stone to comment on these violations. They didn't dispute a single one of them. I was shocked. And as we continue to peel back this onion, it just gets deeper and deeper. My heart goes out to every one of these students, and know that the Department of Higher Ed, the Office of Higher Ed, and Department of Public Health are going to work tirelessly to make sure your records are put intact so you know exactly what you have for a transcript, and provide some of those options, be it a refund, be it a teach out, be it an alternative way to continue forward. As the Attorney General has stated, this is a high demand field. Nursing is an honorable profession, and we're behind you 100% for your efforts to take this on. We are behind you. And to the extent that our office can work to do this, yesterday, or the day before yesterday, we captured all of the active records at Stone Academy, brought them to our office, and we're in the process of culling through over 900 active folders, and then we'll move on to the inactive cases as well, because there may be some former students that also have actions against Stone as well. But we want to concentrate on those who are closest to potentially graduating from this program and making sure that they have a clear path forward. Understanding, of course, that being taught by a clinician or a faculty member that was not certified, some of those hours may not count. And these on-campus clinicals that were done, those absolutely will not be registered by the nursing board. So we need to get your transcripts in order so you have a document that you can believe in. And then we will help you try to navigate either if it's a loan discharge, a reimbursement, or another place to land. It's going to take us a little bit of time. We've been in contact through email with each and every Stone Academy. If you haven't, we have a number you can contact, Stone Academy student. Next week, we are going to formulate a fair at our office. We've asked you to register for that fair in periods of, I think they're 2-hour blocks with 50 students at a time. We've invited the community college system and workforce development, the National Guard, our 3 standing LPN programs, Lincoln Tech, Griffin Hospital, and Porter and Chester. We also have the Department of Education on hand to fully understand what your loan situation is with the Pell Grant money, so that you'll have a clear understanding of what your rights and opportunities are, if you choose to continue, how much of a balance you can carry forward, and so forth. So we are working diligently on this, and I am so grateful that the Attorney General is working hard on your behalf as well. We really need to get to the bottom of this for you people. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Before I turn it over to the legislators, let me just acknowledge my consumer protection team over here, thank them for their work. Let me say again how wrong and unconscionable it is to take advantage of not just students, but hardworking nursing students who are just trying to do better for themselves and their families. I wish I could say this was the first time we've encountered misconduct in this area. It's not. Unfortunately, particularly in the for-profit higher ed space, not all programs engage in misconduct, but many do. And we've shut down and gone after several for-profit higher ed chains, including Corinthian colleges, for example. We went after the country's largest student loan servicer, Navient. So there continues to be a lot of trouble in this space, and we'll, as an office and as a state, will continue to fight for students, particularly students that are in these for-profit programs. Make sure, students, that you know what you're getting. And before you take out big loans on big promises of high-paying jobs and careers, make sure you understand what the school is selling you, and that you're actually going to get value for the dollars you put in, because it's a lot of money that people put into these programs, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars a year. And so with that, let me turn it over to State Representative Greg Haddon. We'll answer questions at the end there.
So let me just say I'm really sorry I have to be here today. Yeah. This is not the kind of press conference that anybody enjoys coming to, but it's one that's really important and necessary. And I'm really grateful that the Attorney General and for the previous work of the Director of our Office of Higher Education have put in, working to make sure that there's accountability here for the folks who have been running Stone Academy. Right now, my nieces and nephews are currently making decisions about where they're going to go for post-secondary education, and it's a moment of high hope and aspiration, right? It's a moment when you're choosing where to go that you put your dreams and you invest in your own dreams and the dreams for a brighter future for you and for your family. And so when practices like this are uncovered, when that dream turns out to be a fraud, it's particularly poignant and difficult. And I want to say I'm sorry. I'm sorry that this has happened to you, and I think that we in government need to do everything possible to make sure that you are made as whole as we can, knowing that we can't get all the way there. Like, the time that you put in to your education already is time that needs to be made up now. And so I would only say stick to it. We can find solutions for you. We'll provide help for you. We'll hold Stone Academy as accountable as we can to make sure that you get your money back. But we need you to keep the dreams that you previously had alive. Make sure that you continue your education. We need you as nurses. We need you in our workforce, and we'll do everything we can here to make sure that we can help you, as well as prevent this from happening again. We have money is set aside in the governor's budget proposal to actually enhance OHE's ability to provide oversight over private occupational schools. And just last year, this legislature passed a bill that also made changes to the way that we oversee private occupational schools. Some of that we see in the good work that the director put in. To this point, we will look at that law and see if we need to go even further. But the most important part is that we hold these folks accountable, that we do everything we can to help you as students continue your education, and that we work to prevent this from happening again. Thank you.
Thank you. And the other chair, Senator Derek Slapp.
Thank you. I want to thank the Attorney General for your leadership on this issue. My mother was a nurse, a single mom. So I stand here saying that what Stone Academy did to you all was wrong, and they should pay for it. You know, as Senate Chair of the Higher Education Committee, I have some questions for Stone Academy. Right? When it comes to their finances, when it comes to their staffing, what did they know, and when did they know it? You have a right to know that. And this Attorney General needs to know that so he can pursue his investigation and get justice for all of you. My co-chair, Representative Haddad, mentioned that not only do we need to all work together to remedy this, to get justice for you all, but we also need to make sure that this kind of thing doesn't happen again. And working with the Office of Higher Education, we need to invest in that office first and foremost to make sure that they have the resources to properly monitor, right, what's going on. And then, in addition, I think we need to look at what's the level of money that these private occupational schools need to set aside, almost really kind of in escrow, right, in case something does happen. Because you should not have to spend years and years, right, waiting for legal cases to play out, right, to be litigated before you finally get your money back. So we need to look at what we can do in the legislature, right? Not only to remedy this wrong, right, but going forward. And I'm sure we're going to have strong bipartisan support to do that. So thank you again to the Attorney General. We have our work cut out for us, but we're committed to fixing this wrong for all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Irene Haynes.
Hi, everybody. I just want to comment on something that my colleague, Representative Haddad, said, is that I truly believe that, thank you to the Attorney General and to the Office of Higher Ed, we're going to get to the bottom of this. We have to. But please, I saw one person over there raise their hand because they were close to graduation. Continue. All of you continue. We need you. It's desperate. There's another. We're desperately in need of you and your expertise. So it's just so important to the state of Connecticut. It's important to us to fix the problem, but it's also important to all of us to make sure that you have a pathway to go forward. So I just want to say thank you so much for all the time and effort that you put into it thus far. Keep going. We'll help you get there because we need you. So thank you so much.
Before we take questions, counsel for some of the students here today, Cynthia Jennings has asked for an opportunity to say a few words.
Thank you, Attorney General Tong. First of all, I'm speaking on behalf of almost every student in this room when I say that it is not about the money. Giving them their tuition back is not going to recover the years that they took in getting ready for this.
Yes.
We stand ready to hold classes to get every one of these students through the state board. This is what I used to do for a living. We put over 2,500 people in office, into positions, and it is not about the money. It is about taking these individuals who have been involved in one of the largest heists of African American and Latino people in the history of this state. No student should have to know whether or not the institution is presenting accredited teachers. The state is supposed to check that out and investigate that while it is happening. No student should be told at the end of their career that, oh, I'm sorry, we're going to have to look at your transcripts, we're going to have to evaluate if your classes were accredited. That should have been done before this happened. I can tell you that no one in this room is happy with that kind of a response. No one in this room wants to hear, oh, it's going to take you another 2, 3, or 4 years. Some of these women were homeless and made a choice to go to school and actually become a nurse so that they could better their education and better their futures. So I'm asking that the Department of Education, that the state of Connecticut, whoever accredited these institutions, that they step back and allow these students to take classes or be prepared to take the state exam. I want to thank you, Attorney General Tong, for your efforts, but I can tell you an investigation is not going to come close to returning these people and making these people whole. They should be given their tuition money back, yes, because it was stolen from them. They should be able to go forward and actually finish their education in July, not in 2 or 3 years from now. Their children should not have to suffer this indignity. So I'm certainly speaking on behalf of, if not all, almost every single one of these students here, and asking that, number one, there be classes. You have money set aside. Set up the money and put the money up and put the classes together to prepare them for the state boards, and not let this ever happen to any other black and brown people. If you look around the room, it's almost all black and brown people that are affected. So we're asking that this issue be addressed and immediately rectified, and that the people that are in this room be made whole. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? Sorry, Paul. He started. Well, I mean, I think we want to support, as Executive Director Larson said, all the students, including the graduates, and to the extent that they were not adequately prepared and they were told things that weren't true about their education and they're not ready to take the exam, we need to know about that, and that needs to be part of our investigation.
What remedy would be available if there is starting to be a couple violations?
Everything's on the table. Fines, penalties, and to the extent that we find criminal violations, we'll refer those to the state's attorney. It's too soon to say. We're just commencing this investigation. It'll depend on what we find, but I'm not going to leave any stone unturned. And if we find wrongdoing and violations of the law, we will seek the highest possible penalty. We're gonna move as quickly as we can. We're gonna move as quickly as we can. Let me just be clear that this is not where we want to be, right? And coming in with an investigation now, it is true, is not going to do everything that can be done, right, to help people when they've already been hurt and damaged. Let's acknowledge that, right? And let's acknowledge that this is going to take some time. But our team is here. We're going to move as fast as we can.
Are you aware of any criminal investigation?
I'm not aware of one. I'm not aware of one.
You're bringing up the subpoena. I know that we talked about this last week about getting these records for these students. Is Stone Academy in a blank wall? Are they handing it over, or is the legal action?
I can't speak to their conversations with OHE, but this just went out this morning. It should be no surprise to Stone Academy that they're getting a subpoena from me, and I expect them to comply immediately.
Thank you. So to that end, we have been working since October with the Attorney General staff. Coincidentally, the Department of Public Health, which licenses these folks, also uses Dan Shapiro out of the AG's office, and the talent in that office is spectacular. So we have a coordinated effort from the Department of Public Health and our office as well. To the extent that I can say publicly, I'm a little disappointed with how they've handled this from the get-go. We were able to obtain probably 75 boxes of the current active folders. My entire staff is at 450 Columbus Boulevard culling and getting this out so we can get it prepped for an audit as soon as we possibly can. And we have a checklist, and we're going to go through that checklist, and once we may not have all of the records, but we're going to go back. Stone Academy's been around for a long time, and it's our responsibility as an office to collect all of those records and document all of this stuff, but we're going to focus primarily on these active students, and then the students who are most likely to get to the NCLEX test and graduate so we can process them through. That's the modus operandi.
For the Attorney General, we've heard a couple things. We've heard that federal money from the PPP program may have been misused.
Yep.
We've also heard that state grant money may have been used by Stone to take some of the facility staff that work as well and renovate the president's luxury home.
Okay.
Are any of these things that you have heard? To what extent?
This will be part of our investigation. This will be part of our investigation. I've seen reporting too. We're gonna take action based on facts that we uncovered during this investigation.
And are you concerned about the intermingled ownership that we're seeing here? Because these students were told if they want to transfer their credits, talk to University of Bridgeport, talk to Goodwin University, and Joe Bierbaum and his family, Mark Scheinberg, have ties to both of those schools.
If we find any violations of law or conflicts of interest, we will take action. Period.
My last question, and maybe Tim, you can speak to this, and at the risk of speaking for these students, we're talking a lot about an investigation here, but I think what they really want to know is, are they going to be able to sit for their boards? Is it their fault that their clinical hours were invalid? And are they going to be reimbursed for gas money, daycare?
Yeah. So, I mean, to the extent that our office can drill down and find out exactly what is involved in this transcript. Every one of these people have their own individual story. We're holding this fair next week, and we've invited them to come forward so we can help with some of this processing. We want to know where people stand, where they are. We'll be able to let them know at some point when we'll get their transcripts back. It won't be for this fair. We're still putting all of this stuff together. But we want to make sure that there is a human contact with these people. And we're not just giving them a link to the federal government and go try to get your loan back. We're going to try to do as much hand-holding as we possibly can. We're going to work with the schools that are currently working and functioning in Connecticut to see where we can place the majority of these students. And there may be other options that they wish to pursue. So to the extent that the statute allows us to use student protection money to reimburse, my understanding it's primarily for tuition and related expenses. We'll have to see where that gets us.
Do you need more oversight?
You should
Does your office need more oversight for for-profit institutions?
You know, our office works in this particular situation. We also work with the Department of Public Health. And the Department of Public Health is actually the licensing body that will help inform us with directions for these students. They're going to determine of these clinical opportunities which were valid, which were not, which would count on the transcript, so that we'll have a basis to start with these folks, and we'll work with them to the extent that the law provides us to do it.
Respectfully, that wasn't my question. My question was, does your office, the Office of Higher Education, need more control, oversight power over what goes on at for-profit institutions?
I think that there might be some more attention placed on stricter requirements of these for-profit institutions, more reporting, more understanding of what the staff evaluation is. Part of the hesitation in my voice is that I'm working with the Department of Public Health, particularly with these folks, and I can't speak on their behalf. So there's a couple of legs to the stool. Commissioner Jahani and I are on the phone all the time. We've been working on this tirelessly. We're going to meet this afternoon to try to configure what are the other options that we can do if we can't find capacity for these students.
Well, have you gotten any indication from TPH on how long it's going to take to complete those evaluations, or let these students know if they've got valid clinicals or if they're not?
Yeah, so in,
to make up what they have to do?
we have to get that analysis. So in round numbers, there's 800 students. There's 3 campuses. East Hartford has approximately 300 or so students. West Haven has 250, and Waterbury has, roughly 250 to 300 students in general terms. So we've got pods set up by campus so that we can evaluate where they are. Everybody's getting equal time and consideration. We're not favoring one school over the other. We're just trying to get as much detail as we possibly can, as quick as we can, so that when we sit down with these students, they have an idea of what their options are.
You don't have an idea of how long that might take?
I don't. I mean, the sooner I can get this stuff transferred electronically to our auditor. Our auditor has a charge to validate these credits, validate this faculty, see what a particular student's finances are. If they're an out-of-pocket student, we know, for example, in this universe, there's probably 35 students who are out of pocket. The balance, or the majority of these folks, are on a Pell Grant, so they have different responsibilities, they have different exposure, and different responsibilities. A lot of these are all personal decisions that we want to make and help these people get through.
So I am sure that that Executive Director Larson is doing everything he can in his office to place students and to do everything he can to find a way for all of you to complete your coursework and to sit for the boards. I don't know about those rumors. I think it's really important that we focus on facts that are adduced from this investigation. We're not going to make decisions based on rumors or what we hear, but we're going to get to the bottom of this right away, and it is our hope and expectation that Stone will respond quickly. Again, do you have a contact number that they can call, that students can call?
You know, we've been in contact with you with regards to this fair, and we're bringing all of these representatives that I've mentioned to the fair, so you can have an individual conversation with them. It's my understanding, after talking to the president of both Porter and Chester and Lincoln Tech, that they will accept applications from Stone students. They will have to do an assessment, and they'll have to figure out where you fall within regards to your current education, which is primarily the reason why we need to have a valid transcript for you. So as soon as we can get that done, we're working on it. I could give you a Stone Academy transcript today, but we don't know if it's valid, so it doesn't do you any good. Well, I think we have an obligation to do as much outreach as we possibly can to understand and to screen and help people. There may be people who frankly want their money back, and I don't want to just give them an application, say, go online and get an application. We're going to have staff on hand to walk you through how that's done. Each and everybody has their own different financial resources and predicaments, so we want to try to coach as many people through as we possibly can and be resourceful. And then once you'll meet people from Lincoln Tech and Porter and Chester and Griffin, have conversations with them. They'll be able to talk with you about how their enrollment process will work and what they'll need from you and so forth. So it's important for us to have those conversations and let you have that available.
I know there are a lot of questions. There is a fair. We'll provide that information. Unfortunately, because we're commencing this investigation today, there's still a lot we don't know, and so we have to get to the bottom of it. But I know there are a lot of questions, and I know that the Office of Higher Education is doing everything it can to help these students, to help all of you as soon as it can. So any other questions on the investigation?
I have a question, Attorney General.
Yeah.
It's a well-known fact that the university and Stone Academy are intertwined. It's a well-known fact that Mark Scheinberg was just fined $1 million for committing fraud by either the Department of Education or the Department of Justice. So, sitting here with students and, talking about the beginning of the investigation, this is actually just an extension of the fraud that was committed. So when do the consequences begin? And the other question is, because Goodwin University also has a nursing program, is anybody talking to that end, Goodwin, to actually bring some of these students in here? Because I think they have it's intertwined, so there's a responsibility.
I can only tell you that my subpoena today is comprehensive. It's going to ask all of those questions. Yes, sir. We're going to get to the bottom of all of those questions in our investigation. I don't have those answers today. All right?
Attorney General, on the
Yes, sir.
on the investigation, what do we know of a group right now, Collegiate Services LLC, and the more than 12 other LLCs that Mark Scheinberg?
It's to the extent that it's connected to Stone Academy, it's covered in our subpoena. I don't have that information right now. Thank you. All right. Thank you, everybody. Yes.